Okay, I'm Gabrielle, if I didn't mention that before, and I am working currently as the communications manager here with Bartlett Chamber, and I'm going to turn it over to your host and guest for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. All right. How are we doing, folks? How many people? One person? Two people? I guess I can kind of.
Not too bad, but we can send them a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, I can send that to you guys. So you guys can send it out.
But you're just saying something for sure. I'm just thinking if yours is. What I was gonna say too is that yours is never going off.
How are we doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how's everybody?
Are you going? I don't know.
Oh, sitting on the fence? Yes. Well, you know, I read all our outlands of books. So some of the movies. I love Jamie. Yeah. But, anyway, I did more, but,
And then.
How y'all doing?
Fine, thank you. That's what I want
There's
to
some refreshments, just help yourself.
And then I text
And
them
you
and I
are?
said.
I'm Carol Beard. Good to meet you.
I'm Diana.
But, that's the best.
Oh, great name. Almost.
Fine, thank you.
Just a little short.
Yeah.
Just
You're down.
just one little short.
And-
We're getting started. Right, we're getting started. Yeah. Implant.
We do.
How
Then you know, January. Be around. How y'all
Oh,
folks
fine.
doing? Help yourself. Get on seat.
Yes. Is it cold? That's silly for me. I mean, I've already paid my deposit, but.
Oh,
You know, I had a feeling, but I wasn't sure.
We'll get started here in a second, folks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's by herself too.
Dan?
Yes.
You around this young lady?
How are you? Good to see you. Are you going on this?
Yeah.
That's so much fun.
How we doing, folks? We're gonna get started here in just a few minutes, all right?
You want something? You want beer, wine? Come on over.
I've been to, so I've only been overseas twice, and places in Italy that we're going to are places I've been. One of the places I had to see. Not that it wouldn't be a completely different experience. You're not wrong. I know, but there was a lot that was repeat, you know, so I just couldn't see spending all of that money on these things that I've already seen. Like Olympia or, you know, like it was on the Bologna, and some of the other places I
Well, they say
Well,
they have the same
I
sort
would
of
have
sales
been
team.
much more tested, but I looked at all the places that were on.
Cause I was like, well, Charlotte,
Like, I'm like, we're like a
Hey, you want this?
Did it?
well, but you know,
you
you
have
got
scotch?
one.
No, I don't have scotch. We're going to Scotland for crying out loud. Oh, what? No, no, no.
I didn't learn it.
First time I went. You like it?
I think we might go this summer.
Y'all want anything?
Oh, yeah. Doing nothing but going
Well, so we Germany, where to get all the way down. And got there, just in the
All right. Well, all right. Good afternoon, folks. So we can go ahead and get started here. First I'd like to thank everyone for coming out to learn about this tour to Scotland. Has anyone been to Scotland before? This is first for all of us. Good deal. Just a quick introduction about myself. So my name is Patrick Kinsella. I am the business development manager for all of Tennessee and Kentucky for Collette. It's not my first stint with Collette. I was actually the rep in the Chicagoland area for about 2 years when I graduated school in 2018. I'm from kind of the middle of nowhere, Illinois, and I like working with you guys down here in Tennessee because you're, first of all, a lot nicer than the people in Chicago. So much more fun, a lot more pleasant. But that's kind of where I got my start. When COVID hit, bounced around a little bit, ended up in Nashville and rejoined the company. And I've been back working this area for about 2 years now. And I'm excited to get you guys out the door here to a fantastic tour. Before I get into everything, has anyone traveled with us before, with Collette? Surely you've seen us on Wheel of Fortune though, right? Yeah, we're on Wheel of Fortune. That's where most people know us from. Most people know us from Wheel of Fortune, or we also do some marketing on the Hallmark channel during the holiday times and whatnot. But we are the nation's oldest tour operator, and there's really 3 things that I'll touch on before I show you all the pretty pictures about kind of what separates an experience like this than flying over there on your own. All right. Number 1 is how we actually design the tours. So as I mentioned, oldest tour operator in the nation, and we're a true boots on the ground operation. We don't just book hotels and book excursions from our headquarters and then send you out. All right. Each and every year, our team of product developers will actually fly out to these locations. They're staying in the hotels that you are. They're eating the meals that we provide. They're doing the excursions that you're doing to make sure that it's always of that high quality that Collette is known and loved for nationwide. Number 2 is your tour manager. Okay. From the day that you land in Glasgow until the day that we send you home, you will be with the Collette tour manager. And these aren't subcontractors, all right? They're Collette employees. So they told us when we were on a sales meeting a couple months ago that only 1 in about 5,000 tour managers that apply are actually admitted into being a Collette tour manager. So you have some of the best, if not the best in the industry, and they're there, of course, to guide you along this experience, all right? That Scottish accent is very thick, right? So we might not understand everything that they're saying, so they're gonna make sure that you have the gist of everything, all right? The history, the people, the culture, everything that there is. And then lastly, I always like to say that it's kind of an X factor, okay? Because it's really easy today to go on Google, book a flight into Scotland, wave at one of the cows, and come home. All right. But we want you to come home truly feeling like when you look at that map of Scotland, you can check it off of your list. You've seen everything that there is to see. You've tasted the food, you've met the locals, you've seen the landscape, the people, the architecture, the history, everything that this wonderful destination has to offer. So that's what we do across the board with Collette. But as far as the trip goes, as you all know, we are going to Scotland. Okay, so this is our Discover Scotland itinerary, and it's probably my favorite that we have through Scotland because you can kind of see from the flow of the tour that we're basically going to be doing a big loop around Scotland. All right, the other great thing is we're not doing any backtracking because we fly into one gateway, then we travel all the way across the country, and then we fly out of another gateway. All right, so no backtracking. So you're maximizing every single day that you have. So you can see we're starting off in Glasgow. We'll spend our first night there, and that's when you go ahead and meet your tour manager. Again, they'll be right outside of baggage claim, and they're with you this entire trip. We'll spend our first night in Glasgow before we make our way into the Highlands. That's what this tour is all about. We're going to be making stops along the way at the different beautiful lakes, or lochs, of course, that's what they call them up here. We'll spend a couple nights here on the West Coast. These Scottish words are kind of hard to pronounce, so I'm not going to embarrass myself trying to do it. But your tour manager will teach you how to, speak with the Scottish accent. From here on the West Coast, we'll spend 2 nights. We'll visit a couple beautiful forts and castles. My favorite thing about this area is when we take a ferry ride out to the beautiful Isle of Skye. All right. Magnificent ferry ride, and then one of the most beautiful scenic drives that you'll ever see in your life. From there, of course, we'll try to stop and see Nessie at Loch Ness. Bring a fishing pole if you like, see if you can catch her. But we're making our way up to the very tip of Scotland in the town of Thurso. All right. And this is what's really unique about traveling with Collette. Not a lot of operators make their way to the Orkney Islands. So we'll take a ferry ride, go to the very top of Scotland, and make a day trip out to the Orkney Islands, which have a lot of unique history and, of course, beautiful landscape. From there, after 2 nights, we're going to make our way down to Inverness, and this is where we'll spend 1 night, and this is kind of known as the capital of the Scottish Highlands here. And then we'll continue on down. We'll make a quick stop at a couple charming little beautiful towns for you to kind of get the feel and ambiance of the Scottish Highlands before we make our way into Edinburgh, and we'll spend our final 2 nights in Edinburgh before we fly back home. So as you can see, we're basically doing a big loop around Scotland, and you get to see really everything that this area has to offer. So as we mentioned, we're starting off here in Glasgow, and this is where you will meet your tour manager. We'll all get checked into our first hotel, and we're going to kick it off right off the beginning with some bagpipes. All right. Do we have any musicians in here?
Nope.
All right. So they're going to do a little performance for us, and then you have the chance to try it yourself. All right. So you will have to kick off the tour with some Scottish culture. And Scotland is a small country, right? And it just has such a unique culture to it that's known worldwide. All right. Like not a lot of places kind of have that impact that Scotland does. So we'll kind of kick off the tour as we always do with a little bit of flair before we have our first welcome dinner. And we always start off with a welcome dinner. It's a great way to kick off the tour, some great Scottish food and drinks. I can promise you it's not going to be haggis the whole time. All right. You will have the chance to try traditional Scottish food along the way, but there'll be plenty of other options for you as well if you don't really want to indulge in some of those traditional Scottish things that might scare some people off. But this is what Scotland's all about, is the beautiful landscape. All right, great culture, great people, but the landscape in the small towns is why we're traveling to a place like this. So we're going to be making our way over to the western coast here and spending a couple nights. And this is where we'll have the chance to dive into these small kind of charming towns built right on the lakes and built right on the western coastline. We also have something with Collette called our Choice on Tour. And this doesn't cost you any extra money. You just get to kind of decide how you want to spend your afternoon here. All right. So whichever one kind of floats your boat, you just tell us and we'll square it off. The first is to go to McCaig's Tower, which is a famous structure here, which has one of the best views of the town of Oban, which we'll have the chance to visit. As you can see, it's a very ancient structure. You will be with your tour manager. They're going to tell you all about the people who built this and kind of explain it. But again, one of the best views of the area. Or if you want to visit the museum, as well as this castle here in the area, we have that squared away for you as well. You'll be joined by a local step-on guide essentially who's going to walk you through this experience too. So from time to time, we will have local step-on guides who will kind of give us that local flair. Because of course, your tour manager, they know every nook and cranny of these places, but sometimes the person who lives and is from this area just kind of brings a little more life to it. But again, whichever one kind of interests you more, you have the opportunity to explore that.
What kind of museum is that? What is it?
It's essentially a museum regarding the castle and history of this area. Yeah. So either way, we will have a couple nights here right on the lakefront. And as you can see, this is the view that you're going to have basically from your hotel. It's got all the amenities that you know and love. As far as our hotels go, it's always 4+ star. So you're in great locations, you're in great hotels. Has everything that you could ever want. You can leave the hair dryers at home. You don't need to bring them. We have hair dryers there. Okay, things of that nature. But the next day is when we have the chance to go out to the Isle of Skye. And this is the ferry ride, beautiful ferry ride, not too long, but you're going to have the chance to visit some of the locals here. Of course, the wildlife is one of the unique things about Scotland. We'll be joined by a local guide who's going to take us through the Isle of Skye. All right, so you're going to see the rocky, windswept coastline, the different sheep farms, a lot of ruins of castles and things like that all along the way on this tour. And some of the smaller charming towns like Portree here, which is the capital of this kind of region of Scotland too. As you can see, it kind of looks like almost like New England with the colors built right on the water here. But we'll be guiding through this entire trip, but this is what you're going to be seeing. And this is my favorite picture, probably of the whole slideshow. This is the Isle of Skye. I just drove over from Nashville. Not a pretty drive. Right? From start to finish, your eyes are really going to be glued to the windows here of the motor coach, looking at all the beautiful things. We'll be making stops at the scenic overlooks. You know, if we see some of the Highland cows walking across the street, we'll stop so you can get out and take some pictures. But it's a really, really beautiful, beautiful drive here. So as you can see, and it's not a really easy place to get to. So that's why it's one of the more unique things that we have on this trip. As we continue through, this is where we're going to see a lot of the lake region when we're heading up into the very northern part of Scotland into Thurso. But we're going to be making a couple stops along the way. The Great Glen area, very well known for kind of the farming of this town. A lot of unique dairy products and things of that nature. We will make a stop at one of the famous castles here too. And that's kind of a theme you'll see across the board. You're going to see, you know, some castles that will actually tour, but you're going to see some castles that are just in ruins as well. In Scotland, I think other than Ireland, has the highest amount of castles per capita too. So a lot of unique history here that, of course, your tour manager is going to be filling you in along the way, pointing everything out for you. But as we continue, as we mentioned, can't take you to Scotland without Loch Ness. So we will go here, take a look for Nessie, maybe, maybe not. But we're going to be spending 2 nights here in the northernmost town of Scotland, which is Thurso. It's not a very big town, so you really have the chance to kind of make like a local here. All right, there's not a lot of touristy stuff. There's no Margaritaville, right? This is true Scotland, and that's what our company is all about. So we will be doing a full city tour here. Your hotel is going to be right downtown as well. So you have the chance during some of your free time to walk right out of your hotel and enjoy the cafes and pubs and restaurants and different things that are here in Thurso as well. You never have to worry about taking public transportation unless you wanted to, or calling taxis or Ubers, because our hotels are always situated perfectly. All right. As we continue, as I mentioned, we're going to be taking another ferry ride out to the Orkney Islands, which again, not a lot of people visit. Most of the time when people go to Scotland, it's Glasgow, Edinburgh, maybe Inverness, but we're going actually off the coast of Scotland into the Orkney Islands. A lot of unique history here from World War II, which we'll have the chance to tour some of the essentially battlefield sites. There was a famous ship that sank right off the coast of the Orkney Islands. This is really rough North Atlantic water, which is beautiful in its own right, but it's not going to be like a nice, clear, Bohemian water that you'd find in the Caribbean, but it is rocky, windswept, and it's beautiful. So we'll do tours of the different areas that were affected by World War II, as well as see the ancient Neolithic sites. Has anyone been to Egypt? All right. So these Neolithic sites in the Orkney Islands are actually older than the Egyptian pyramids in Giza. All right. So anyone you know who has a picture of the pyramids in Giza, or they've traveled to Egypt before, you can tell them that, well, I saw something older than you, all right? And there's not much in the world that's older than the pyramids of Giza, right? So we will have the chance to visit some of this, learn about these ancient Neolithic cultures that lived here, and see some of their ruins and monuments along the way too. And again, your tour manager's with you, guiding you through this, telling you all about it. It's a really, really unique thing that we have the chance to go out to the Orkney Islands. As we spend our 2 nights here in Thurso, when we make our way down, we will visit Kirkwall as well. As you can tell, charming kind of fairy tale town built right on the water. These are peppered all over Scotland. You guys are going to get sick of seeing these as time goes on. It really is charming, and we just don't have anything really like these structures here in the US. So that's why this tour is so special. We will be making our way through the Scottish Highlands, as I mentioned, and visit some of the sites that more significant regarding warfare and different battles that happened. So there's a battle here that happened in the mid 1700s that we'll learn about, the Jacobites, if anyone is a history fan here. And we'll learn about that battle, and then we'll have the chance to go and see the fort that was built in the aftermath of that battle. So as you can see, this is a towering fort built, jutted out into the water here, which we'll have the chance to, again, learn about the history and tour one of these beautiful forts too. As we continue, we'll be making our way through the countryside. And again, you might get sick of it. I hope not, but these charming, beautiful, beautiful towns, which we'll have the chance to stop in. Here in Inverness, we'll be spending 1 night. And this is, again, as I mentioned, kind of the capital of the Scottish Highlands up here. So this is the tried and true, very, very hard to understand people, but that's kind of what makes it fun, right? So charming village here. And this is where we have the chance to do another one of those kind of X factor things that I like to talk about. Because you can fly in, you can wave at the sights and come home, but you're never going to forget the family that you met here that's been running this farm for generations. We have the chance to go out to a family-run farm. We'll see all of their sheep, as well as the famous Scottish Highland cows and things of that nature. And we'll have the chance to actually see their border collies round up all the sheep, bring them all in. They'll teach you how they shear the sheep, how they, thread Scottish wool, what makes Scottish wool so special, things of that nature. We'll have some tea and crumpets with them too. And, like I said, when you always come home, you'll remember that Scottish family that kind of invited you onto their farm, into their home to experience this with them. We all love dogs, right? So as I mentioned, we will be making a stop here at Pitchlery before we make our way into Edinburgh for our final 2 nights. Again, as you can see, charming area for us to kind of get the ambiance of walking around one of these smaller European Scottish cities, which you have the chance to pop into a local cafe, pick up a unique souvenir, just kind of, again, the ambiance of the place before we make our way into Edinburgh. So Edinburgh probably is the most famous place in Scotland, and rightfully so. It's a beautiful, beautiful city. Our hotel is right in the heart of the city, so you can make of your free time what you wish. Again, no worries of transportation. You can walk right out of your hotel and enjoy a vibrant town. But we will be doing a full macro-sized tour of Edinburgh, where we have the chance to go up to the Edinburgh Castle. And this is the most famous structure probably in all of Scotland. And you don't have to worry about climbing up those stairs. We'll take the motor coach right up to the top. But it is a beautiful, beautiful view of the city, because this castle overhangs on the mountain and looks over the entire town. So you'll have the chance to take some fantastic pictures. There's kind of its own little town built up here as well. They'll teach you a little bit more about the famous military tattoo, which is in August, when all of the marching bands of the world, the military bands, come to Edinburgh, and they kind of put on a show and kind of decide who has the best military band in the world. So that's kind of Edinburgh Castle's claim to fame, at least in the modern times. But great opportunity to take some pictures, but we will have some free time for us to kind of enjoy one of the larger cities in Scotland as well. So again, meander around. The locals are very nice. Pop into a couple local cafes or pubs, whatever kind of floats your boat, or ask your tour manager. I know someone was talking about Rick Steves. If you've read a Rick Steves book about Scotland, ask your tour manager. They know every nook and cranny of this place, right? They can point it out. If it is farther away than we thought, they'll call you a cab, all right? They can kind of facilitate anything that you specifically know or want to see in any of these towns. But we will all gather back together for our final farewell dinner as well. And this is a great opportunity for us to kind of toast to our time here in Scotland. And we would fly you out the next morning from Edinburgh, which is great because we don't have to travel across the country and fly back from Glasgow. So we do hope you join us. As you can see from the materials here, of course, we're leaving in March of next year. I know we have about 12 people signed up already, which is fantastic. There are a couple other things I'll touch on regarding this tour that, again, make it a little bit more enjoyable. Number one, we will do a hometown pickup. I guess we'll pick you up here at the chamber and take you to the airport. And when you land back at the Memphis airport, we'll take you right back here as well. So you don't need to worry about paying for parking or getting a ride, bothering your son, daughter, neighbor, Uber, taxi, whatever the case is. We'll all sing Kumbaya on the airport together. And then on the way back, we'll have that ride for you as well. So you don't have to worry about that. There are different ways if you want to personalize this just a little bit more. For example, if you wanted to go into Glasgow, maybe 1 or 2 days early, we can set that up for you. If you wanted to stay in Edinburgh a couple more days, we can do that for you. We actually do have an extension into London at the end of this tour where we put you on a high-speed train, send you down to London. You wouldn't have the same tour manager. You'd have more of a facilitator, though. It's a little bit more independent. If you're interested in that, I'll stick around. We'll talk about it. If you wanted to maybe upgrade to business class airfare, we can get a price for that as well. But probably the main thing that I want to talk about is the travel protection program that we have with Collette, because it's hands down the best in the industry. All right. It allows you to cancel for any reason, no questions asked, up until the day before departure. Okay. And that is cash back. It is not a voucher for a tour in the future. It is not a discount. Throughout the COVID years, as we like to say, we actually refunded about $180 million in cash to our travelers, right? We were one of the few, if not the only tour operator that actually did that. So we're taking care of you from start to finish. If you decide the night before you leave that you got a bad haircut and you don't want the Scottish people laughing at you, you can give us a call. Again, it's cash back, all right?
What's the difference between this and the travel protection?
This is the travel protection, yeah.
Well, there's something, we went ahead and signed up for it, and, but there was like a $479.
That's what this is. Yeah. So this,
Oh.
yeah. But it also does roll over and it covers you on tour. Okay. So none of this stuff really works abroad once you leave the US. Any medical assistance, baggage loss or baggage delay, tour interruption, tour delay. We've had evacuations out of New Zealand before. We had 300 travelers in Israel on October 7th of last year, right? First motor coach to the airport, first flight out of there. A lot of them, we just booked them the first class flight, got them home. So we are taken care of. And a tour like this, it is a vacation. It's a great trip, but it's a little bit different than, popping down to Pensacola and sitting on the beach, right? This is more of an investment in your life experience. So we want to do everything we can to protect that. Again, cancel any reason up until the day before departure. None of you have traveled with Collette, so we're glad you're here. Whatever we decide to do next year, we have a discount for you as well. Unless you wanted to go down to Regency Travel and book a tour beforehand, then we'll have a discount for you here. But anyways, we will need a passport for the tour. The State Department asks me to ask you essentially that we just make sure that it's valid for about 8 months from when you actually travel. All right. So with this tour leaving in March, you got plenty of time to do that. Get into the post office, get it updated. If you don't have a passport yet, you still got time to do it. But we do have more information on our group webpage, which I'm sure maybe all of you have seen before. But in supplement to these flyers, at the very bottom here, and I'm sure we can email it out or put it on the website, you can see we do have a group webpage. And I'm going to pull it up after this presentation as well, so you can have the chance to take a look. But this is going to have every last thing you need to know about the trip. Everything I spoke about, everything that's within the flyer, but there'll be weather information, travel tips, currency, all sorts of things for us to be very well informed. And you can sign up from the tour directly from this link. Okay. As far as what that looks like, there's one important date that I need to touch on, and that's going to be September 17th. From now until September 17th, if you decide to cancel off the tour, you're going to get your deposit back of $698, but you will also get your insurance back of $479. Okay. So you're at absolutely zero risk until September. After September 17th, until the day before the trip, if you decide that you don't want to go anymore, no problem. We give you every last dime back minus that insurance premium. Okay. So that's essentially our insurance kick-in date, but it's also called our seat reduction date in the travel industry. Because how this kind of works is we have 32 seats reserved for this group specifically. And I know we have, I think, 12 signed up right now. So, there's only 20 or so left, give or take, depending on how this meeting goes. So my suggestion, if you have really any inclination of wanting to go on this trip, I would highly, highly recommend making your deposit and reserving your seat and then sleeping on it until September 16th. Okay. Because from now until then, I can always get you your money back. And it's much, much more difficult for me to try to take your money and get you on the tour. After this date, if I am able to get you on the trip, it's at least going to be $200 more, but I also have to go and get a new air contract for you, which generally will probably be another $600 to $1,000. And I can't guarantee you'll be on the same flight as everyone else. And that just makes for a mess, right? I see it every single tour. One of you guys are going to call me and ask me if you can get on the trip, and I'm going to have to break your heart. It happens every time. So again, my recommendation, even if you're kind of on the fence, reserve your spot and sleep on it until September, and then you can decide. Because there is limited space on the tour. And then again, even from September 17th until the day before you leave, you can cancel, no questions asked. You're getting every last dime back. The other great thing about this is you can see the price point here for transfers to the airport. All of your transportation on tour, your flights as well, 4+ star hotels, guided touring, a good amount of meals is $4,249. We just got released the prices for this tour. For next year, it's starting at about $49.99 before we look at the time of year. As you all probably know, with everything, everything's going up in price. So when I met with John and the team back in January, I think it was early on this year, we were able to get this at a pretty good price. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And if you want to know more about the tour, the company, my personal life, whatever you need. All right.
Where are you from?
I'm originally from a couple hours south of Chicago, a very small town near Bloomington, Illinois. Yeah, so I went to Illinois State. I did an exchange program, so I lived in Florence, Italy for about 6 months, and that's kind of where I got my start in the travel industry, I would say. And then Collette hired me right out of school in 2018, and sending people all over ever since. Yeah.
Especially, we've actually already signed up and we were doing a triple one.
Okay.
Does that mean we get to run together?
That would mean all 3 of you would be together. If you want to do the triple room, I will tell you, the one bed will be kind of like a roll-away bed. All right.
Take turns.
Yeah.
We'll roll the dice.
Yeah.
That's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. One other thing to note, if you do have, friends or family that you want to invite on the tour, say you right now you plan on traveling solo, you can see there is a single supplement to that. But to save a little money, if you have a friend in Albuquerque, whatever the case is, and you want to invite them on the trip, we can fly folks out of whatever gateway they need. Okay. All you would do is send them this link, which you can easily email out to people or share to Facebook or however you want to do it. They can sign up and request whatever gateway they want. Maybe they'll meet us in our connection in JFK or wherever it happens to be, or maybe they meet us in Glasgow, but we can fly folks out of whatever gateway they need.
I actually have taken some Collette tours, I believe, but they've been domestic tours.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
what is the passport thing? Is there a discount associated with repetitive tours?
That's what it is. When was your last trip?
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but it's been a while.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So how the Passport Club works. So for example, all of you on this trip, wherever we decide to go next year, you would receive about 5% off of the land portion of what this tour costs. All right. So I don't have the breakdown right in front of me of what the airfare but it generally comes out to maybe $200-300 or so, which you would get on a discount on your following tour.
Do you know how many bus miles it is?
Off the top of my head, I don't. We could pull it up on Google Maps, I suppose, and map it out. But European law only allows motor coach drivers to drive for at most 2 hours at a time. And we understand you don't want to be on a bus the whole time, right? So we shorten that, and then we make stops for the longer drives at, for example, some of those charming towns, as well as maybe Loch Ness, things of that nature. But on this trip, we don't have too many one-night stays, so we get to kind of really dive deep into these towns and whatnot.
If you wanted to do an Ireland edition,
Talk to me afterwards. Yeah. Essentially, if anyone wanted to go back to back, all we would do is essentially look at the dates where that works. Maybe it lines up perfectly where we can fly you from Edinburgh over to Dublin and start the tour that night. Generally, it doesn't. So we get you a hotel in Dublin. You'd have 1 or 2 free days until the next tour starts.
tell me about the England edition.
Okay, yeah, we can talk about this. So as you can see, 4-day, 3-night London tour extension, right? It would be $1,199, and that would be 3 nights at a hotel right down in London. When the rest of the group flies home from Edinburgh, we would put you on a high-speed train, right? You take the train all the way down to London, and when you get off the platform, there would be essentially a Collette representative. And again, it's not going to be your tour manager that's with you from start to finish, but you will have a representative essentially. And we have a couple included things for you on the trip, but it is a little bit more independent for you to kind of explore London on your own. We would change your flight to then leave out of Heathrow, and then on your final day, essentially, we have a transfer to take you from your hotel over to London Heathrow to fly you back home. And then when you land back in Memphis, we would have a separate car to pick you up and bring you home as well. So you would still have that transfer from the airport.
Thank you.
And where would that hotel be generally?
In London, I can try to pull it up and find it. We use a lot of different hotels in London, but it's always right downtown. But London is a massive, massive town. All right. So it'd be like me saying it's in Manhattan, right? That's pretty good. But we can dive a little deeper into that. But if you want to see it, you're already over there. You took the flight once, we have it set up for a reason. If you are interested in that, when you sign up, make sure that you select that, okay? Even if you decide later that you want to take it off, I can take it off easily. If you call us, in November and say that you want to add it, I can't guarantee it, okay? The travel industry, the further out, the better, and then it's just easier for us to get you your money back.
Same deposit applies?
Same deposit. It would be $1,177. That is what's due as soon as you can to reserve your spot on the tour. And then, as I mentioned, sleep on it until September 16th, essentially. And then you can really decide if you want to go. But with us already having 12 in, we got, 30 seats available, essentially. We got, 2/3 of that left. And we're going to, I think, get about 35 folks on this tour. So I've seen it a million times. I promise you, the wait list is not a fun place to be. I would recommend signing up, sleeping on it. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
We signed up for a triple, but if we want to change that to 2 doubles, do
Yeah.
we need to do that by 9/16?
So there,
We want to change what we
yeah,
originally signed up for.
we may be able to have a workaround, but essentially that would mean we need one more person to sign up within your group.
That's the reason we may have
Oh,
one.
you already got someone.
We
Yeah,
may have one, so if we want to do that, the sooner we let you know, the sooner you can change it.
it would still have to be before this date.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
That's all.
essentially we're adding someone new on.
Right.
There are things with the hotels that make this date still important, but this is more for your airfare, okay? Because after that date, as I mentioned, our airfare contract goes out the window. That's why we have certain group departures and group savings. That's the whole idea of doing this.
So if we need to make that change, we just need to let somebody here know before 9/16.
Yeah, but they need to
Soon
be,
as possible.
they would need to be signed up before this date too. Yeah,
That's all we need to know.
but if you get them signed up tomorrow and you decide, yeah, not a problem. Yeah, we can fly folks out of whatever city you want. Mhm.
We have a friend that lives near Jackson Hole, Wyoming, that may want
Yeah,
to join
yeah,
us.
that's, we see that all the time.
Okay, thank you.
And you said you could run a day early or 2 days early if you want.
Yeah, yeah. When you sign up, just, if you wanted to do maybe 1 pre-night or 2 pre-nights, essentially, we would rearrange that, so you have a transfer 2 days early. We would have your hotel squared away. You wouldn't have your tour manager with you, okay? But, we would have a transfer to get you from the airport in Glasgow, and you'd be able to enjoy Glasgow for a couple extra days, maybe avoid a little bit more of that jet lag, that's,
So since if we've already signed up, I'm sure we can add it.
yeah, yeah.
change it, but
Yep.
How early do we need to make that change if we decide to do that? Before the 17th or?
At latest, the 17th, yeah. If you are interested in that, a pre-night, a post-night, whatever the case may be, as I mentioned, with everything, it's just easier let us know, and I can always cancel it, all right? But it's a lot harder for me to square a lot of that stuff
Then
off.
of course, there's an extra charge for the extra night.
Yeah, we would price that out, generally between $150 and $200, like a nice hotel anywhere, yeah.
I think the bridge camp,
What's that?
are they on the bridge camp?
Yeah, it's Sterling. And, as far as that goes, you don't have to worry at all. I mean, you could take out some cash if you want, but your credit card, your debit card will work perfectly fine everywhere that we go. All right. If you wanted to take out some cash beforehand, the best way to do it is talk to your bank. They can order you some currency beforehand, or just use the ATM when you get there. That's what I always do. Once you add up all of the exchange fees and things of that nature, when you're over there, I did it when I was in Sicily 2 months ago, and it came out to, I think, $8 total. So it wasn't really worth it for me to upgrade the credit card to avoid the transaction fees and things of that nature. It's not going to break the bank, I don't think, for you.
Usually the credit cards have the best rates, conversion rates.
Yeah. And, check with your credit card company. Maybe they'll offer you something. You never really know.
And always let your credit card company know that you travel.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big one. You don't want them to shut off your card. But essentially, kind of the next steps, as I mentioned, we want to keep in mind that date. But then usually probably about a month before you leave, we'll have all of your travel documents sent out. All right. This will have your name tags, your bag tags. It'll have the time that we need you here to get you to the airport. It'll have your flights, your record locators. It'll have all the day-by-day itinerary, the emergency contact information, everything. All right. So we make sure that you're nice and prepared before we go out. We also have a Collette app. It's called the Collette Compass. And once you get your travel information, all you would do is punch in your first and last name and then your booking number. And then it's going to generate the entire tour for you. Your transfers, your flights, itinerary, maps, all sorts of good stuff. Yeah.
So to sign up, we go ahead and go online and sign up.
That's the easiest way because that'll hit our office as soon as you hit it. We do have paper forms, which we could, I'm sure, print out and do it. But really,
That's one of them.
that's one of them. Yeah, which you could bring into the chamber and we could scan it and send it in. I mean, we can do that, not a problem. But as soon as you hit send, you have your seat reserved, which is my recommendation. If you have any questions about it, you can always call our general 800 number as well. And they can walk you through anything if you're having problems with the online sign up, whatever the case may be. All right. So again, 1,177, and then you can see final payment would be due December 15th. Nice Christmas present to yourself. How about that? And then again, up until the day before departure, you get every last dime back minus that 479. All right.
So with the flights, y'all handle all the check-ins and all that. We don't have to like if you fly to domestics, I'm getting ready to go out of town. The day before, I've got to check into my flight to get.
That's a great question. So legally, we can't check in for you. How it essentially works is we get you to the airport because you're going to have a 50-pound check bag anyway. When you have a check bag, you have to bring it to the gate agent, or not the gate agents, the check-in agents anyway. All you do is scan your passport. It's going to pop out your boarding passes as well as your baggage tag. Slap it on there, good to go. You don't have to worry about checking in 24 hours prior or anything like that, though.
You may not know this off the top of your head, but in March, that far north, is it typically snowy, icy?
Very, very rarely would we see snow and ice and stuff like that. Okay.
It'll be cold.
But it could be a little chilly. So around this time of year, in the middle of the night, you're going to be in bed anyway, I would hope. Might have some fun.
Kind of personal.
But, at the very lowest, maybe 35 to 40. 40 is, I would say, anywhere on this tour from 40 to maybe 55, maybe 60 if it's really sunny. You never really know. But, this isn't you don't go to this area of Europe for the sunny beaches and things of that nature. It's more about the landscape, the culture, the people, things like that. So I would say anywhere between 40 and, if we're lucky, 60.
Does it rain a lot? Fog,
You could, I would think we would see some weather roll in from time to time, but here in this area of Europe, it can be 60 and sunny, and then it can be raining, and then it can be a little cold and foggy, and then back to 55 and sunny, all within 30 minutes. All right. Yeah. So that's just kind of how it works in this area of the world.
So layers.
Layers is key, as well as a rain jacket, really light that you could almost ball up and put to your pocket, as well as a pair of shoes that you're comfortable in. All right. Because we are doing walking tours of most of these towns. We will be taking the motor coach to the different scenic lookouts and stuff like that. But a pair of shoes you're comfortable in, layers, again, you can always pop something off. You can always leave anything you want on the motor coach as well. They stay with it. It's locked up. No worries. But as far as this tour goes, it's a level 2, which is right in the middle, or a little less than the middle for us. So it is leisurely, but you can kind of make of it what you want to. So during your free time, you can run up the mountain if you like, or walk every street of the towns. If we're doing a walking tour, say of Edinburgh, and your feet are hurting or whatever the case is, just have a line of communication with your tour manager. Generally, what would happen is, a lot of European cities, they kind of have the main square. That's where we always start a tour, and that's where we end a tour. And there's always a cafe, or there's always a pub within the main square. So they'll say, well, you can hang out there. We'll circle back. We'll be here in an hour. So you just have a good line of communication. Yeah, just a good line of communication with them. And like I said, they're the best in the industry. So they'll take care of you from start to finish.
I have a question about Scotland. I know in some European cities, you have to worry about a lot of pickpockets. Is that a concern in Scotland or lesser because it's more
the
rural?
cities?
I would say a lot, almost infinitesimally small chance of that. If we were taking the subway in Barcelona, I'd say.
Yeah, we went to Barcelona and it was careful. We had to be careful.
Yeah, but we're not taking we're not really taking public transportation. We're traveling as a group and, during your free time, just normal precautions. But I mean,
Don't be stupid, but.
downtown Memphis is a lot more,
Oh,
now.
a lot more dangerous than, Scotland.
Yeah, okay.
What about dressing for dinner? Is it formal or is it just like this is casual?
It's completely casual the whole time. If you wanna, whip out the cocktail dresses and tuxedos, you're more than welcome to, but it's all casual, It's whatever you're comfortable in. And I always,
Jeans is okay through the whole thing.
whole entire thing. I always recommend the night before the trip, when you're packing everything up, pack it up, look at it, and then take half of it out. You're not gonna wear it, and no one's watching you wear the same jeans 3 days in a row anyway. Like, that's
You're
what you
gonna
do.
see the same code every day.
Well, the same code, yeah. So that's my usual recommendation. In between 40 and 60, in my opinion, that's pretty good touring weather, because we have some groups that, we're sending down to Morocco in July, right? And that's pretty toasty. When we're doing these walking tours, when it's 50, it's pretty good. It's pretty good weather for us walking around. Yeah. But I'm happy to answer any other questions. I will stick around for a little bit if you do want questions or help signing up or whatever the case may be. I just, again, very important, this September 17th date. The only other thing regarding this date is whatever comes first, we sell the 30 seats, which we've sold 12 already, for this date, okay? So if we sell the 30 seats, then it's basically like this date happened, okay? So with everyone here, we got plenty of time and space still for you. So that's just kind of my recommendation. But
One other quick question, how do we make the changes? Since if we've already signed up, like, I'm pretty sure we're probably gonna want to go out a day early. 'Cause
Yeah.
we'd like to get adjusted.
Yeah.
So since we've already signed up.
Yeah.
How do we just call Collette?
you can call us directly anytime. You can come in, and I believe we kind of changed the point of contact here to Kathy. Is that correct? Yeah. You can talk with Kathy. She has a direct line to my account manager who can facilitate that, or you can always call us direct too. All right.
Great.
Well, yeah, thank you. Thank you. But if you do have any other questions, I will stick around for a little bit, and I'll talk to the Zoom folks here. Do you folks have any questions for me? I believe you're muted.
Yeah.
All good, all good. All right, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you. All right, we'll see you guys. If you have any other questions, you can call in, okay?